coffees because they had finally brewed, and she's like, "Where's Al? We can finally bring you coffee." And so he got like so much freaking coffee that morning because I was telling everybody, I'm like, "Al needs coffee."
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Behind the Booth. I'm Jade, and with me, as always, is my co host and award winning producer, Heather.
And on this channel, we talk about wild stories from Comic-Con vendors. And today's episode, our topic is actually about a really cool interaction that we were able to have. So, Jade, you start us off.
So, this story came from us being at the Colorado Springs Comic Con. We had never done this venue before, and they actually put us in an ice rink. That was fun. I'm used to the cold because I was a figure skater for so long. This was the kind of adjustment for other people. But we actually happened to be right next to one of the voice actor and actor celebrity lanes. And just happened to be that when we were setting up, I overheard somebody saying that he needed coffee. And usually when it comes to the voice talent and things like that, at these events, they'll typically have a volunteer handler. And a lot of times they're on assistants and stuff. And that person's supposed to take them to where they need to be when they have to change things, the back rooms and back roads and green rooms and everything like that that they have access to, that the rest of us peasants do not. So he's talking to this volunteer and they're like, I don't know if we have anything. And I realized the person that was asking was Richard Karn. So Heather, tell the fandom who may not know who he is, who Richard Karn is.
Yeah, so Richard Karn, have you ever watched the show Home Improvement? That was a huge part of my childhood growing up. I mean, we did the goofy little, like, I don't know how this is going to sound on a microphone, but the stuff that Tim Allen does all the time.
Yeah, that was a good impression.
Thank you. Richard Karn was Al, right? His co-worker, he was, co-host on his show. And like he was the kindest person, right? And he always dealt with the Tim's not like nonsense. Like Tim was just all over the place, and Al was just this like very relaxed, very like kind person. And he always reminded me of my dad, and my family and I watched that show all the time. And I watched it with my dad all the time, and I was just like, oh my gosh, it's Richard Karn right there. Oh my gosh, guys, he looks exactly the same as he did like 20 years ago. It's amazing.
He looks great. Right? And honestly, I had seen Home Improvement as a kid, but most recently I had just seen an episode of him in That 70s Show playing a carpenter who was Leo's, for those of you that watch the show, Leo's brother, Theo. And he was working on the foreman's basement.
Yeah.
So that was the most recent episode I had seen him in. So I was like, hey, Heather, with my, fox-like ears of hearing stuff. So I should probably tell you, my hearing is uncanny. My hearing is uncanny. It is so good. It's like
ridiculous.
If you put satellite dishes inside of a fox's ears and then also made them like Daredevil. Like my hearing is insanely good. And I overheard all of these people and how loud it is. I overheard that request around coffee. Now, I don't know if it's because I recognized the voice that I heard it easier or what was going on, but I turned to Heather. I was like, hey, do you know where there's coffee? And Heather kind of gave me a face, like, because we always travel with these little mugs. Mine's a Stanley mug. I don't know what brand yours is.
Yeti.
Yeah, we have the good ones. There's a reason for that too.
Oh yeah.
We'll get into that in another episode.
We will.
And if you want to sponsor that episode, reach out to us.
Stanley Cup, Yeti, please talk to us. talkbehindthebooth@gmail.com.
We're going to get a sponsor.
I know.
But we have these tumblers, and we had just filled up at our hotel with coffee. So she kind of looked at me like, what, you want coffee already? Did you drink through yours? Like, what's wrong with you? Because we had just gotten there. So tell me, Heather, about the coffee conundrum.
Yeah, so this was the second day of the convention. And the first day, Jade usually, like, I was going to say Jade lets me walk around, but I just walk around because Jade's like, get out of here, you're bugging me.
Yeah, that's part of what it is.
And so the first day of the convention, I had walked around and I had seen there was this coffee place that was like, because we were in an ice rink and there was a convention center over there. It was down this long hallway and everything. And at the very top of the convention center-ish, there was coffee like all the way around the other side, right? So it's probably like a 10-minute walk for me to get over there. And I was like, oh yeah, I had seen coffee over there. Like, and I'm like, seriously, do you need to go to the bathroom? Like, have you already drank all your coffee? What's going on? And she's like, no, Richard Karn needs some coffee over there. I bet if, you offer to get him some, because speaking as somebody who has been a volunteer at conventions, yes, they're fairly overworked. It's a lot of fun, but they have a lot of crap going on. It's for her to have to like, okay, I got to figure out where to find coffee. would stress her out. So I'm like, oh sure, yeah, I'll go do that. And I'm like, okay, I'll go talk to Al from Home Improvement. And so I asked them, I'm like, okay, can I find you coffee instead of you having to worry about it? They're like, sure, whatever, we'll pay you back. I'm like, no, you don't have to pay me back. I'm gonna buy coffee for Richard Karn, which I told freaking everybody I saw. I'm like, I buy coffee for Richard Karn. They're like, what? No,
I should point out he's super humble too, because he's like,
Yeah.
I just want black coffee. He didn't want like a mocha at like 103 degrees or any of that kind of
No.
ridiculous ristretto, whatever. Just black coffee is all I asked for.
And we're like, really, really? You don't want cream or anything? He's like, no, black. He's like, for real. Stop asking me. I just want black. I'm like, okay. But yeah, he was very, very kind, very chill. And so I went all the way to the other side, forever. It took me forever. And I'm sweating because there's so many freaking people. And my body had adjusted to being on the ice rink, and now I wasn't on the ice rink anymore. So now I'm sweating. And I get up to where the coffee was, and it was no longer there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. I don't remember if there was any other coffee. So I'm asking some people, I'm asking like security, and they're like, I don't know. And
she's
I went,
asking, I need coffee for Richard Karn. Like
I
she
am.
threw his name around.
and some people were like, who the crap is that? Like, some people have
She's
no
like,
idea.
Al from Home Improvement, he needs
Yep.
coffee.
Yeah, Al needs coffee. And so then I went like downstairs in the convention center, and I found a place that was doing coffee, but they hadn't brewed it yet that morning. And I'm like, oh my gosh, for crying out loud. Which, okay, I'm going to tell you, at these convention centers, if there's a place that's like, oh, we haven't brewed it yet this morning, they're not going to brew it for like 4 hours. So don't wait. Go find somewhere else. But this place, she's like, I don't know, our coffee maker broke and da 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 da. I'm like, okay, is there anything that you can give me? Like anything? I just got to take coffee back to Al. And she's like, well, I have some cold brew. I'm like, okay, that's good enough. He just wanted black. He didn't want anything crazy. And yeah, we're on an ice rink, but coffee is better than no coffee, right? And so I grabbed the cold brew and I brought it back to him. But yeah, while I was sitting there, I was talking to all of them about how I'm giving it to Al, and they're all like, oh, that's so exciting. And so I brought him back the cold brew, and he was very kind about it, and he was very sweet. And then like an hour and a half later, one of the girls comes over with a tray of like 4 or 5 coffees because they had finally brewed, and she's like, where's Al? We can finally bring you coffee. And so he got like so much freaking coffee that morning because I was telling everybody, I'm like, Al needs coffee. And then we all got more coffee too. And it was just like, it was so sweet, but he was so kind about it. And it's like, thank you for like, I felt so bad. It took me forever to bring back that cold brew. It took me like an hour to actually find where anything was and to get back. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's suffering, which Mosley, he's just like, where is that chick? Like, what?
I think he was more like just signing lots and lots of autographs and talking to people. And
Yeah.
he was very kind. He was as kind as he was perceived on the show.
Yeah.
He was that kind.
Yeah.
And so on the end of day 2, we're getting ready to leave. All of us kind of leave at the same time. We've draped over all of our table, and we're heading his direction because he's literally 2 booths away from us. Like, he's very close. So the booth next to us was the people that confirmed that the signature is real.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're called authenticators or something like that.
Authenticators. They like give you a little card and they put it in their book and everything.
Got a little sticker and they keep track of everything. It seems very tedious and boring, but they were next to us. And then immediately after them was Richard Karn. So on our way out, we're like, hey, our hotel has free hot coffee every morning. Do you want us to bring you some coffee? And he's like, oh, that'd be so great. If I'm not going to put you out, that'd be so great because I don't know where to find coffee anywhere.
Yeah.
And we're like, no problem. And so the next day we're leaving, we're grabbing the coffee for ourselves in our nice tumblers because they keep them hot literally all day.
Yeah.
And then one for Richard. I'm like, do you want to carry the one for Richard? She's like, yes.
Put a little heart on it. No, I'm kidding.
So you took the coffee to
I
him the
did.
very next day. And what happened after that?
Yeah, so I took it to him the next day, and he had one of those in Colorado. Oh, I guess they were in Albuquerque as well. It was a different brand though. There's these like booths of lemonade or iced tea. In Colorado it's called Pecos Pete's, or there's like Buffalo Bills or something, I don't know, but you can buy a mug, and then you can get like really cheap refills or free refills or something for the entire weekend, right? You can even bring the mug back to another convention because it's a like a metal mug. Oh, I can just show, I'm staring at it right now. It's this metal mug. And so he had bought one for himself, and he was like, hey, thank you guys so much for the coffee. This is so great of you. Can I give you this mug? And I'm like, don't you want lemonade? Like, do you want me to go get you lemonade? He's like, no, can I give this to you? And Jade, of course, is standing next to me and she goes, would you sign it for her? Because, you know, his signatures do cost. Like getting an autograph from a celebrity does cost. And so I'm like, I'm like, don't push our luck, Jade. And he's like, sure, why not? So he signed it. I've got his signature right there. It's really hard to see, but it was like in a gold pen. And then it was just, we have a little video of me getting it. And I've just like got that goofy little girl smile on my face because it's just so sweet. And he gave me a hug and then like went right next door and got the little authenticator card from the person next to him. And so now
I said, hey, how much is it to authenticate this? I know you just saw the signature happen. He's like, oh, no problem. I'll just do it for you. Well, we had brought him coffee as well, and he was struggling on the first day. He didn't have a chance to get lunch, so I just gave him a bag of chips.
Yeah.
Now, the bag of chips wasn't like one of the cute ones. It was like a bag of chips, but he appreciated us as neighbors and we were friendly and we gave him potty breaks. Well, by we, I mean Heather. So he just did it for us.
Yeah.
And
that's going to be that's going to be a whole other episode again about, you know, being kind to the people around you because they are like, they're going through the same things you are and like we're all in it together. But that was just a really cool interaction. And it's something that you don't think about that could happen. Like if that's something, it's not like super important to me to meet celebrities or anything. I am most likely going to meet Joseph Quinn when we go to Florida because he's going to be there. It's going to be so much fun. But or Denver, actually, I can't remember where
he's going to be at a bunch of the ones.
He's going to be at a bunch of them because if you ever see me at a convention, I'm usually dressed like Eddie. So like it's not super important to me to do that, but when those things happen, they're fun and they're good like experiences, and you don't want to miss out on stuff like that because it's just something else, like another thing that'll brighten my day, and it just sits on my desk and it makes me smile.
I was so excited because Heather is so good at being in front of the camera and I am not. That is not my happy place. And she does all the TikToks and the whatever other stuff she does, and the TikTok famous, we'll talk about that episode as well. But I'm a former videographer. So when I saw this interaction happening, I started recording immediately. And I was like, if we can't get it authenticated, at least we have proof that you got it signed. Right? So if you ever go to sell that mug, we got the video to go with it. But yeah, if you get the opportunity, just talk to people if you can. And if you have amazing hearing, you might get the opportunity to make a friend.
Exactly. Well, and like, to kind of wrap up this episode, like I said, be open to those conversations, be open to those connections with people because you don't know what's going to happen and it could really be fun. If you have an amazing story like that you would like us to tell or you would like to talk to about us, possibly be a guest, we'll see. We're not sure how we're doing guests yet, but we'll see. Email us at talkbehindthebooth@gmail.com or find us anywhere on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Behind the Booth.
And a special thank you to Nerdy Girl Podcast for sponsoring this episode. We will see you next time.